Hey fellas, long time no see. Welcome back to another Diamond 1 League commentary. Today I'm going to be playing some AP Blitzcrank support. I hope you are interested because this is one of my favorite roles to play in the support role and one of my favorite champions to play, Blitzcrank. And I love the ability that Blitzcrank has to start one-shotting people into the late game. If we take a look at the early game matchup, it's me and Corky bot lane against a Lucian and a Thresh and a Graves. Thresh naturally counters Blitzcrank pretty effectively because anytime you can try and pull somebody in onto yourself, that Lantern can instantly counter it. Also, anytime you try and go very aggressive early on, Thresh has a lot more CC than you. So Thresh just is all around a better early game pick than Blitzcrank. Another little thing to note about this match right here is I came in at approximately 1 minute into the game, so we do not have any vision on red buff. We don't know if they're starting at our red buff or not. And so I take the time, I wait until 1:55 and go around and check at that red buff just to make sure that the enemy team's not doing anything. We can also have another little notice that Corky is not connected currently. And because Corky's not connected currently, I have this lane to myself. But don't worry, he will come back. He had the same issue as me apparently, where the league game just essentially died. Not a big deal. I make a pull on that minion right there. I'm just trying to get any CS I possibly can for free. I don't want to take too much damage, and I wasn't sure how long it would take for Corky to get back into the game, so just anytime I can get some CS without completely running myself out of mana or HP, I'm going to go ahead and do so. Like right here, I'll take one hit, but I went up and tried to take that CS, and unfortunately my last hit was a little too bad. A little too mistimed, and I didn't get the CS, but I'm getting a couple now. Graves has tried to hit me a couple times on the turret and taken a couple turret hits for free. So I'm just going to go ahead, steal a couple of this farm. I'm almost level 3, and now Corky's back in the lane. So this is fine. Now that Corky's back in the lane, we're looking around. We're ready to play a little bit safer because, again, Corky's level 1, whereas the other team, they're already both level 2. We do see Pantheon coming on around, but we were trying to wait for the minions to hit the turret so that we could basically run past them without them hitting us. Unfortunately, Thresh managed to land a hook on the Corky, and because Thresh landed a hook on the Corky, we had to initiate right then and right there. In the meantime, Corky is going ahead and healing himself back up. The reason he knows he can still stick around a little bit is because he still has Summoner Heal and Flash. So it's not too big a deal that he was at 100 HP when trying to get all that farm right there. Alright, so yeah, it's still level 1 on the Corky. I'm going to do my best to help him last hit on the turret, because that's what you do as a support. Although, oftentimes when I play Blitzcrank, I kind of mistime the auto attack animation because it's got a nice delay onto it that you're not expecting. Not a big deal though. So we're still good here. Because we're so far behind in the lane to start off, because Corky got bursted down very, very low, had to use his HP potion, and was already late into the lane, I have to make sure that the rest of my team knows if my lane starts leaving and starts roaming. If my enemy Thresh started roaming towards Kassadin in the mid lane and started camping the Kassadin, we don't have enough ward coverage to see him. So I need to make sure that anytime Thresh or Graves leaves the lane, that my jungler knows and that my mid laner knows, because there's nothing else that we can do to help them out except for letting them know. So that's what we go ahead and do. We let them know what's happening. We get them the information, and we go ahead and continue farming. Right here, as you can see, I go for a nice little grab because the Thresh and then the Graves are stacked up very nicely. So I knew that if I aimed right there, I could get at least one of them. And we managed to pull the Thresh into the turret, get that Ignite on off, and we get the kill on Thresh. Unfortunately, Graves still has Flash and Summoner Heal and goes all in onto the Corky and gets the Corky as well. So all in all, that was a good trade for us because we were so far behind in the lane due to the disconnect and due to the fact that I had to start the lane with no mana, trying to use my mana to get any farm I possibly could in a 1v2 lane. So with all the setbacks, we still come out with a 1-to-1 trade, and the lane is able to be stalled right here. That's another important thing right now, because Graves has to go back. He can't fight me anymore, because as soon as my grab and power fist are back up, I have too much pressure on him. He has 200 HP. That's pretty much an easy kill for me, especially since I'm faster. So Graves has to back. Corki's going to come back into the lane soon. This lane is paused. There's still many minions for Corki to get right here, right now, free for him. And so he gets back into lane, and we continue stalling the lane and let Corki continue farming back up to get into a position where he can actually become useful. So we see Pantheon nearby. I'm letting people know that my flash is up for both Corki and Pantheon. That tells them that I can use a flash power fist if necessary. So if Pantheon wants to come on down, which he is right now, if they start running away immediately, then I can go ahead and flash power fist onto that Thresh or flash power fist onto that Graves and CC him so that Pantheon and Corki can catch on up and secure the kill. Luckily, we also knew that Thresh did not put any wards down as soon as he got back into lane, because he came straight back into the lane. He didn't come from the river, he came straight from his turret, and he never actually went into the river at all to go and get those wards on out. So that was basically a free kill for us because Pantheon was right nearby. That was just a lapse of judgment from the Thresh. Probably didn't care enough to go ahead and put a ward down. This is solo queue after all. Oftentimes I won't care enough to put the wards down. But the thing is, you need to make sure that you are aware of potential jungler ganks in that kind of situation. Alright, so we're ahead of them now. We got 2 kills on the Corki. Corki's getting back into lane. I'm almost level 6, so I go for a Tear the Goddess, get my boots. I usually Tear the Goddess because I'm going to build that into Archangels later, but right now having a giant mana pool is really, really good for Blitzcrank. It increases the amount of shield I get from my Mana Barrier passive, and lets me spam my abilities a lot more often. Anywho, also I get a ward on top of that, not only because a ward is the best option, because we're lacking wards otherwise, but the other option would have been 2 HP potions. And the reason I didn't get any HP potions is because I know I was approximately level 6, and they were both still level 4, level 5. And it was basically a free lane for us right there. Once Blitzcrank hits level 6, Blitzcrank is an absolute monster. An absolute monster. And you can also see that I went for a couple cheeky pulls in the past couple seconds, just going like, I'm assuming Thresh is not stupid enough to walk here. I'm assuming Graves is not stupid enough to walk in this area, but I'm gonna go for this grab anyway, and hopefully I get the kill off of that. I didn't get the kill off of either of those 2 last grabs, but here we go. As soon as my ultimate is back up, I go ahead and make a nice pull on that Graves. And we ended up killing the Graves. I would have also died there, by the way. If Thresh had flayed me into the turret instead of missing his flay, well, he technically didn't miss his flay, like it still hit me, but he flayed me in the wrong direction, so it didn't knock me up perfectly, and I didn't stay in turret range long enough. That was a pretty big mistake from the Thresh. I should have died for that. It would have still been a good trade for us, getting Graves, getting Corki a kill on Graves, and giving Thresh the kill on me. Like that is a fine trade in my book, especially with all those early setbacks. So we have a huge advantage right now in lane. I'm level 6, Corki's level 6, the enemy lane are both level 5. Graves is approximately level 6. He's been level 5 for a while now, but Thresh just hit level 5 in that last fight 2 seconds prior. So you can also see I went back, and my items that I picked up were a couple HP potions, just so I can sustain myself, just in case. And then I got 2 green wards and a pink ward. Getting an early pink ward, especially on blue side, is very, very strong if you can defend the tri-bush. If you are in a very aggressive position like we are right now, we're absolutely dominating the lane, and there's nothing they can do about it. Okay, so right here, another little trick you can do as Blitzcrank. So what I did was I started running up towards the Graves, like straight beeline towards the Graves. I make it look like I am going to pull the Graves, but instead of going for the Graves, which is the obvious go, I turn and immediately toss my grab out towards the Thresh. And because I did that, Thresh wasn't expecting that to happen. He wasn't ready to dodge. And you can oftentimes catch people off guard. So you pretend you're going for someone, and then you go for someone else completely. Anyway, so I get the wards also, the pink ward into the tri-bush because we can easily defend it. I get some ward over the wall because I know Fiddlesticks is level 6, and we're pushing up to the turret, so that is a good ward for us. And I also get a ward in the river just to make sure we can see him. Right there, we were pretending essentially that we didn't see Fiddlesticks. We knew that if Fiddlesticks started channeling his ultimate and we got CC'd into oblivion, that we would just die. However, I saw Thresh at 300 HP. I knew I would be able to make a pick like that, no problem whatsoever. He overextends. I go ahead, get the grab, and I immediately ultimate. The reason I immediately ultimate instead of giving that kill to Corky was because if Thresh did manage to get a flay off on me, if Thresh did manage to get a death sentence off on me, the Fiddlesticks could have channeled an ultimate and got me right here. So, also, another time, I made it look like I was going for the Graves. I started moving around the minions and started moving towards Graves a little bit, and that gave Fiddlesticks the go mindset. It's like, look, it's time to ultimate here, we can get a double kill. But unfortunately for him, we had vision on him, and because we had vision on the Fiddlesticks, able to clear him out, no problem whatsoever. And that is exactly what I wanted to happen. You had to make sure we do not give away that we have a ward there, and we go ahead and make the play off of that ward. It's a very, very important thing to learn how to do, using your wards to trick people on outs. If you can hide the fact that you have the knowledge of what your enemy team is able to do, so like again, the Fiddlesticks hiding over a wall, Thresh was trying to make a play with the Fiddlesticks, but Thresh overextended and I bursted him immediately. Like that was the only reason I bursted him immediately, was because Fiddlesticks was over the wall. If I didn't know Fiddlesticks was there, maybe I would have left it for Corky and ended up getting killed by the Fiddlesticks as well, so who knows. But yeah, so yeah, just use the wards to your advantage. Don't let people know where your wards are. Deny enemy wards with pinks, with scrying lens, sweeping lens, whatever the heck it's called, the red trinket, and you can easily win games. Also, you know, as soon as I get my Sightstone, it is a good idea to get a sweeping lens. You no longer need a warding trinket after you get the Sightstone. You have plenty of ward coverage with just the Sightstone, as long as you're going back relatively quickly. So Corky goes ahead. He almost gets caught out by the Thresh, but Corky being level 8, not a big deal. Thresh just ends up getting poked down, and Corky makes it out alive. And while they're both trying to back, I pop out of the bush and assassinate that Thresh for the kill. So very well played by Corky to... I mean, it wasn't well played at first because he got flayed near the turret, he got death sentenced near the turret. If they were really well coordinated and had plenty of ward coverage, they probably would have all-inned on that Corky, knowing that I was nowhere nearby. So, I mean, it was a mistake on Corky to get caught like that, especially after I told him that I was warding in the jungle. But it ended up being fine, and it gave me a kill for free. Right here, because I know Corky went back, I don't really want to try and make a play 1v2 bot lane myself, so I'm going to go and try and invade their jungle. I saw Fiddlesticks near blue buff. I'm going to see if I can try and assassinate him over here. What I'm hoping to do is, hoping I could see Fiddlesticks, and hopefully Cassidy can come on over as well to try and assassinate the Fiddles. However, I see Cassidon's blue pilling, and you know, it's no longer a good idea to sit in this bush. This bush that I'm sitting in right now, there's a high chance of it being warded. So Cassiopeia plus Fiddlesticks could have easily warped on around with our lack of vision and assassinated me right there. So I overstayed my welcome, but luckily they didn't have any wards on me, and luckily the Fiddlesticks went towards top. Also, I see Thresh making moves to try and clear the pink ward in Tribush. So I run on down, immediately run into his face, and power fist him up, use my overdrive to continue closing the distance over and over again. I don't need to use my pull at all because I can catch up. He's nowhere nearby any of his teammates. He's nowhere nearby a turret. He doesn't have any extra defense. So as long as I stay next to him, I can continue damaging him down with my ultimate over and over. The passive of my ultimate does like, at level 1, I think it's 100 with a 0.2 AP ratio every single 2.5 seconds or so. So as long as I stay next to that Thresh, my ultimate could do upwards of an extra 400 to 500 damage, not including the active portion of it. So I just keep closing the distance, keep using my knock up, keep using my overdrive, staying on top of him. And now Thresh is really realizing that he needs to get those wards on out. So that's what he's doing. He's making moves, getting the wards on out. Again, you see me, I'm not using my ultimate immediately. I'm staying next to him and just doing whatever I can to kill this Thresh. He flays me back into him or back away from him. Oh, no, back into him. That's what happened. And that gave me basically a free power fist, and I could continue chasing because the Graves and the Rise were chasing my Corky. I see them trying to cut me off here, so I know I have to basically run the entire other way. But unfortunately, I run into a Cassiopeia. I waste my flash trying to get away. Cassiopeia can probably catch up to that even without using her own flash. But she did end up using it anyway, so at least we got Cassiopeia's flash out of that. Not a big deal. So we take a look at my gold. I got 1600 gold. So that sounds like a good time to get a needlessly large rod. Start building into that AP Blitzcrank. Getting that Deathfire Grasp for good assassination potential. Hell yes. And that increases my damage by a huge amount. Rocket Grab is a 1.0 AP ratio. Static Fields, the active portion of it, has a 1.0 AP ratio. And then the passive part of it also does a lot of damage. So I'm going to continue doing my best, getting wards on out. I see Thresh and Thresh and Graves both bot lane. So it's not going to be guaranteed that I can take him out here, especially since I know that Fiddlesticks is at blue buff. So I'm just going to go down here, just get whatever farm I possibly can. Probably start warding in the jungle relatively soon. Yeah, so we see Fiddlesticks, we see Thresh coming on around. I know it's safe for me to push on up. So we'll go here. We'll watch my me miss every single CS in this wave because of misclicks and static field kind of fucking up my last hits. Here we go. 3 misses in a row. You ready for this? I'm ready for this. There we go. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Very nice. Alright, let's go ahead and start getting some more ward coverage out in their jungle. I see Graves alone bot lane right now. And, you know, I'm thinking I could probably 1v1 him with my Ignite. I know he's got a Bloodthirster. I know he's got a little bit more attack speed, but I could probably 1v1 him. It really depends on how well my static field procs. Right here, so it procs, and it procs on the minion next to me instead of onto the Graves. And that's the one issue with waiting on static field, because it doesn't always hit the champion that you want it to hit. And then I go ahead, I get body blocked on a minion that's like a 1 HP. I would have been able to finish off the Graves. I had a Power Fist all ready for him. I would be able to knock him up and get 1 more auto attack off to finish him off. So, I mean, it would have been really, really close unless he had Summoner Heal. So, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have finished him off, but it would have been much closer had I not been body blocked there. Not a big deal. I end up dying, but Pantheon comes in and cleans on up. Here is a slight misplay from the Corki. Corki went in like that, expecting the Cassiopeia to die a lot faster. Pantheon's damage was negated because he died, and because he died, Cassiopeia was able to freely turn around with her own ultimate and freeze Corki in place, and then sitting in the middle of a Fiddlesticks ultimate, getting Fiddlesticks drained, nothing he can do. Luckily though, Cassidon and Jace come on down and finish off the 2 kills. No big deal. Taking them on out like nobody's business. Alright, so I now have got 2 deaths that were decently unwarranted because just stupid plays for the most part. Right now, I know I don't have my ultimate active. I can't 1v1 the Graves. I don't have my Ignite. I can't 1v1 the Graves. I mean, I'm sure that Graves' ultimate is down as well currently, but he'd be able to kite me. Without my ultimate up, it's just a bad idea. If you're looking to assassinate somebody, you really need that active portion and the passive portion of your ultimate. That's a lot of your damage. So, I choose not to go in. I choose to just get the experience. Hopefully I can get to level 11, increase the damage in my static field by a huge amount, and just work through the game like that. Right now, we're worried a little bit about a Fiddlesticks ultimate in this bush. That's why I'm going to go ahead and toss my grab out right there. Luckily, there was, or unfortunately, there was nobody in there, so I didn't end up assassinating anybody. But we go ahead, clear ward, put some more ward coverage down. And I'm assuming Graves had seen me over here. Yeah, Graves is backing on off. And we're just going to go ahead and continue pushing this. We saw Fiddlesticks top. We saw the enemy top laner. We saw the enemy mid laner. So we know it's pretty safe to kind of push this on down. All it is, it's 2-on-2. And we are winning the 2-on-2 battle very, very easily. Just to be sure, I'm going to go ahead and wait for my level 11. I'm so close to level 11. It's this entire wave and then like 3-4 more minions of the next wave. And I get my level 11. So I'm just going to let Corki go ahead, push this on down, slowly but surely, poke them on down a little bit. And I'm just going to be a presence. I'm going to be a presence to be reckoned with. Like, they have to be aware of my grab. And because they have to be aware of my grab, they're a little bit scared and letting Corki free hit the turret. Even if I didn't want to go in. Just pretend I want to go in. And there's nothing I can do. Rise is still top. Fiddlesticks is still top. I'm going to go ahead and hide into this bush and poke my head in this bush rather than poking my head out. I want to get my level 11 without them seeing it. Because if I'm level 11, or if I'm level 10 when I enter the bush, they're probably going to assume I'm going to stay level 10. But because I leveled up in the bush, they didn't realize it. That's another huge portion of damage from my level, from my ultimate ability, which got upgraded. Probably unnecessary, but it's just a precaution. And making sure that we're not overextending and making any stupid plays, and making sure I don't have to use my Ignite to finish him off. So we got the kill on the Thresh, we got the turret. We're going to go ahead and continue farming. And I'm going to go ahead and shout praise to the rest of my team. Pantheon is going to go ahead and try and get this Graves. I'm going to go cut the Graves off. As long as my team is happy and I'm happy, and we're good. And he's just going to start spamming laugh or spamming dance. I'm going to join him, spamming my laugh. Like a true asshole. And then right here, what Pantheon should have done with me is come on over to this blue buff and stolen this blue buff. Unfortunately, he goes to red buff and tries to take that. What I try to do with this blue is, in order to make sure that my passive from my static field is only affecting the big golem instead of all the small golems as well, I try to pull it on outs and just make sure that the AoE will only encompass the golem instead of the small lizards as well. Unfortunately, they had it warded. They all come on over. Fiddlesticks comes and secures the blue buff by himself. Right here, make a mistake. I go to clear this ward, but you know what? It was all bait. No problem. We'll just blow up that Fiddlesticks. Needlessly large rod increases my damage by a huge amount. An absolutely absurd amount. So I have 116 AP. That means my rocket grab is doing approximately 400 damage. My static field passive is doing 250 damage or something like that, and then when I activate it, that's like another 400 damage or so. So burst with one static field proc, that's like 1,000 plus damage, and Fiddlesticks doesn't really have any resistances. And then my Ignite as well, easy kill. Right there, what I did was a little bit risky. If the bush I was sitting in was warded, the Thresh and the Rise could have easily blown me up. I did have my mana barrier, but Rise has a ton of damage, so I get a little bit lucky, but we ended up getting a couple kills for it, and Kassadin's legendary. I go back, I pick up my DFG, I refresh my Sightstone, and my next purchase that I'm going to be going for, which I could have actually gotten right now, is my Ionian Boots of Lucidity for an extra 15% CDR. At this point, with the DFG, with there being a lot of squishy targets on the enemy team, I don't really need to stack up all that much more ability power. DFG by itself is generally plenty. So this is good. I'm going to go ahead and I want to assassinate somebody, so I use my scrying lens right there, a sweeping lens, and I start making wards to kind of get more vision in their jungle. I wanted to assassinate that Fiddlesticks there, but then again, I also knew that the rest of Fiddlesticks' team, like his entire team, was right nearby, and it would just be a big mistake. So I try and assassinate him after the entire enemy team leaves, but I don't let my static field proc one passive tick. So I get no ticks of my passive on static fields, and that saves the Fiddlesticks. That extra 200 damage would have definitely taken him on out. Pantheon goes a little too deep, then I basically say, like, I'm going to go try and interrupt this Fiddlesticks ultimate. By the time I get there, it is way too late. I can't interrupt it, so I just go ahead and suicide myself and save the Pantheon in the process. So slight mistakes. Me and Kassadin both get caught. Pantheon overextended a little bit. Kind of baited me, but I could have decided, you know what, I'm not going to go follow him in. So that is my own fault. Next purchase, yes, I get my Ionian Boots of Lucidity, and it looks like we're going to go try starting to group in the next couple seconds. We're going to look for some more pickoffs, we're going to look for Baron, we're going to look to push, and stop making some really stupid plays, which we've been doing and bringing them back into the game. If we want to close this game on outs, we need to start grouping, and we need to start making some better plays, even though we're this far ahead. So I think it's Jason Kassadin will say, like, we should probably group, let's group an end, or something like that. But by the time I reach Corki down here, and then we go ahead and do so. So I'm moving on up, I'm guarding the Corki, I want to get some ward coverage in on the bottom side of their jungle, so that we can transfer over to middle, or perhaps we can catch somebody out in the middle of their jungle, or something along those lines. Anyway, so as you can see, they all say, let's group. I start running towards middle. I'm assuming I can 1v1 basically anybody in their jungle, if there is anybody down there anyways. I don't see anybody having the cojones to go into the blue side of their jungle, because the blue was dead. They had no objectives there. All I have to do is defend because they're this low, and we have this much ward coverage compared to them. So it was a pretty safe bet. We go ahead, we make a pick on Cassiopeia. A lot of burst on the Cassiopeia, and then I go ahead and try to make a pick on this Rise, as you could see just 2 seconds before. The only reason I didn't go for that pull was because Pantheon was doing red buff, and Kassadin wasn't following me, and Jace wasn't really ready or anything of the sort either. So I knew that Rise 1v1 would definitely be able to take me on out. Doing Baron was a much better call, forcing them into a bad position. We got that kill on the Cassiopeia, so this is basically a free Baron, especially since they have no vision, especially since we can do a ton of damage after peeling off and getting to them. So I just go ahead and make sure we maintain our eyes on the enemy team, making sure they have no potential opportunity to gank, no potential opportunity to steal Baron, and to kill the rest of my team. If I were to have to sacrifice myself to make sure that my team would get Baron, I would go ahead and do so. But in that kind of situation, I don't think it would ever be necessary for me to sacrifice myself. Right here, I figured I still had that pink ward down in the tri-bush this entire game. It's about time to replace it. Nobody's going to be down there anytime in the next hour, so I'll just replace this pink ward right here, clear any wards they have. I could have used my sweeping lens, but not totally unneeded. Fiddlesticks gets a little gung-ho with his ultimate, and prevents any ability that they might have of trying to defend. I wait a little bit too long to try and pull the Cassiopeia there. I could have probably tossed my rocket grab out a little bit earlier and perhaps caught her out and definitely destroyed this. But you know what? Without a Fiddlesticks ultimate, it really doesn't matter. Fiddlesticks needs that ultimate. Okay, so we see Pantheon going on in. I know it's a good time to make a pick on that grave, so I sneak it right in between the two minions. He thinks he's safe. He wasn't safe. We're gonna go ahead and ace these guys. I flash after the Rise, knock him up. Let's go ahead and finish this game. That's GG. Very GG. So, all in all, this was a fantastic game. An amazing game, even with the early setbacks, even though both Corki and I had disconnects early on, even though the Corki got grabbed at level 1 and almost died immediately as soon as he came into lane. Even that was not a big deal. Pantheon came bottom multiple times, made sure that we had the lane under control. That was very well played by the Pantheon. The Kassadin absolutely stomped his lane. Jace did fantastic up top as well, and we spiraled out of control way too hard. They got a couple dragons on top of us. Like, we got the first one, but they got the other 2 afterwards. And that could have brought them back into the game. We didn't really control the dragons very well. But again, in the end, they were all so squishy. I was playing full AP Blitzcrank. We had a lot of burst damage, a lot of assassination potential. We had Jace Shock Blast, which could half health people. We had Kassadin's Burst, which could 3/4 people. We had my Burst, which could half health to 100% somebody. We just had so much poke and so much burst and so much team fight ability and mobility that they couldn't come back from it. Also, our ward coverage was just all around better, from having ward coverage in their jungle and clearing their wards on out. So the pros to playing Blitzcrank support is he has so much burst damage. He's got some pretty great ratios. He has a lot of CC with the rocket grab and the knock up, and he's highly mobile with his W. So if you can, Blitzcrank is one of those characters where if you get ahead of somebody and you play well, you can stay ahead of them. And you can constantly burst them on down. You prevent them from being able to defend because of the threat of your rocket grab. As you can see, bot lane, one of those times, at the second turret, when it was 2-on-2, I didn't even bother using my rocket grab. I was just being like, hey, Corki's going to be attacking this turret. And if you try to stop it, if you try to come up into me, then I'm going to go ahead and grab you and blow you up. The chance that I would miss the rocket grab there, I mean, I probably would have been able to hit a rocket grab underneath that turret. But you know what? I don't want to take that turret damage. So just the threat of the grab let Corki go to town on the turret, took that turret out basically for free. They had no help because top lane was pushing in hardcore. Kassadin was roaming like a monster. Our jungle ended up being stronger, our top lane ended up being stronger, our mid lane ended up being stronger. So again, it's just the threat of the grab can change games. When you're behind and trying to play AP Blitz, that's where things get a little bit more rough. If you're behind, I mean, you can go ahead and make the grabs, but you can't really dictate when you make the grab. They're going to be pushing in on their terms, and you have to be like, Well, I have to sneak past. I have to sneak this rocket grab right past it, and enemy tank or like this, like a Leona and an Udyr to grab this Caitlyn or something like that. And oftentimes that's not possible with the combination of the 6 to 7 enemy minions and then the enemy front line. Trying to grab one of the squishy targets is very, very, very difficult. Trying to make a play by assassinating someone like that is very difficult, and also when you're building full AP, you are very, very squishy. So you fall down and get exploded very, very quickly. So that is that's the big cons to playing Blitzcrank is if you're behind, it's hard to come back. If there are enemy tanky characters, like it's very, very, very hard to get around them. It's very hard to make the plays. And also, you need a lot of vision. Blitzcrank is all about having that vision. You have to know where people are going. You have to be able to anticipate what they're going to do. You have to know. You have to use that grab very, very effectively because it's got a very long cooldown. Early game Blitzcrank is also quite weak. Like I was talking about that earlier, where Thresh is just a better early game champion because he's got more CC, he's got more guaranteed damage, he can kite better because he's ranged. And he can save his allies a lot easier with that lantern. So Thresh is a lot more versatile and can do a lot more just with his kit. But Blitzcrank is, in my opinion, just a lot more fun because of the insane burst potential that you can pull out with him. Anyways, that's why I like Blitzcrank. I hope you did enjoy this commentary. I will be doing some more commentaries. I know it's been a long time since I last did my last one. Or since I did my last one, and I'm definitely looking to get back into doing some more of these. So I hope to see you guys next time. I'll probably start doing these on a weekly basis, probably on Sundays or something along those lines, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks again for watching, fellas.